and I'm going to call the meeting of April 16, 2019 of the City Council. Can I get the roll call, please?
Councilmember Mann,
Here.
Councilmember Sternquist,
Here.
Councilmember Yu,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez,
Here.
Mayor Fish.
Here. Moving on to invocation. Mr. Jerry Jambazian, owner of Wonder Cleaners and Draperies, will be providing our invocation. Wonder Cleaners and Draperies has been doing business in the city for over 60 years and is located at 9136 Los Tunas Drive. If everybody could please stand and remain standing, we will, right after our invocation, have our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be done by Boy Scout Troop 161. The scouts presenting the colors will be Duncan Vieira, Joshua Sue, Daniel Sue, Lucas Tai, and Jason Dong. Troop 161 will participate in the Lucky Baldwin Camporee on April 26, 2019. The event will be held at Firestone Scout Reservation. They will be competing against troops from Arcadia and Temple City. Thank you, Jerry.
Let's bow in prayer, please. Our gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity that we can come tonight and do the business of our city. Father, thank you for each council member, for the gifts and thoughts that they bring to deliberate for our benefit and our good. So, Father, thank you for this time together. Father, we thank you for those that protect and serve us, whether it be our sheriffs, whether it be our firefighters, whether it be our service personnel throughout the world, God, that are protecting us. Thank you especially for our Australian ambassadors that are here tonight. We pray that they would have a great time in the United States for this whole month. Father, thank you for organizations like the Sister Cities Association. Thank you for the city that provides funds to allow this to happen. So, Father, we just pray and thank you for this evening, and we give it all to you. In your name we pray. Amen.
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 Color guard, attention. Color guard, front and center. Forward march. Halt. Please place the flag of the United States of America. Please place the California state flag. All in uniform or veterans, please salute. All others, please place your right hand over your heart. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Color guard, reform. Color guard, retreat. Halt. Color guard dismissed. The audience may now be seated.
Thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Okay, we're going to be moving on to ceremonial matters. Introduction of our Australian Sister City students. I would like to introduce Steve Terry with the Temple City Sister Cities Association program to introduce the exchange students from Hawkesbury City, Australia. The local Sister City Association coordinates an active annual student exchange program as well as a biannual adult ambassador trips. Thank you, Steve.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Fish.
It's my honor and privilege to be able to introduce these young people from Australia. They've been here a couple weeks. Actually, as of today, they've been here 2 weeks. They have 2 weeks to go. They've been pretty much on the go every day from the time we pick them up to the time we drop them off. Couple of things I would like to say before I introduce them, or actually I'm going to have them introduce themselves. First of all, I would like to thank the City Council in the City of Temple City for your support, because without your support, this program wouldn't happen. And to be honest, this is not only a program that we have exchanges every year, but it's an ongoing program. My wife Nancy and I just came back this afternoon from a wedding from one of the girls that went to Australia 6 or 7 years ago. One of the other girls, Mackenzie Byers, who also went on one of our trips, the daughter of Matt Byers from the high school, is going back to Australia this next month in May for a wedding from one of the girls that came over here. They promised each other when they stayed with each other that they would be able to be in each other's weddings. So she's going, I don't know whether she's actually going to be in the wedding or she's just attending, but that's exciting. Also, I think I should introduce one of the Australians first, because I think it's, let's see, Taylor. Taylor, come on up here. I'm going to embarrass Taylor because it's her birthday today.
Oh,
She turned
birthday.
15, and look at that, you're all red. So, anyway. Oh. Come on, Lucy, come on, Lucy. So, anyway, I will turn it over to them and let them introduce themselves and tell them just a very brief little bit about themselves.
So hi, I'm Taylor, as you know.
Happy birthday.
I just wanted to say thank you everyone for the trip. Like, it's been amazing so far, and we're only halfway through it. So thank you guys very much, and our council as well. I just wanted to say so far I've really enjoyed the relationships and the friends that I've made over this trip. And again, it's only been halfway and I'm already having the time of my life. So just, yeah, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Archer. I've just been enjoying this whole thing so much, and I'd just like to thank everyone from the council, from the city and the committee. Yeah, well, the favourite thing so far is visiting the sheriff station. It's been
Excellent.
really cool. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katie. Thank you again, as the two previous students have said. Thank you, council and city members. I would just like to say my favourite part of the trip so far, even though 2 weeks, my host family and my sibling, Kaylee, they've been pretty much my family. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Rose. Again, thank you, because without this, I wouldn't ever have been here, and I've loved the opportunity, and my host family is amazing, and I'm just really happy that I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm Campbell, and yeah, again, I'd like to thank the council and our committee. And probably my favourite part of this is visiting, again, the sheriff station, also the fire station, and the historical committee. It was all really interesting.
Excellent.
And thanks again.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Claire. We, just on behalf of the rest of the students, as well as myself, we'd like to thank both the City of Temple City, the council, as well as the association here and the council members, committee members for that, because we've all had such an amazing time, and it's only been 2 weeks. We've had such amazing experiences, like, for example, since I broke my toe, an in-depth experience of the American healthcare system, as well as lots of other stuff, such as the tour of the city, so the sheriff's station, the fire station, the historical society, as well as meeting the council members here, and it's a real honour to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything to it?
Well,
No, that's okay.
I
Before
would,
get into-
first of all, I want to apologize for not getting to the welcome dinner. Unfortunately, they put it on a Wednesday night this year, and of course I teach on Wednesday nights, so I wasn't able to make it, but
You've had a great time so far, but you're going to have the best time on Thursday, because that's when I get to have them. We'll be spending the day together. I look forward to getting to know all of you a little bit better, and think about where you want to go. I have a van. We can go anywhere. So, but welcome. It's a great-looking group. A little taller than usual, it seems, this year. I've noticed. Yes, the boys have grown, so that's a great thing. So I hope the rest of your stay here is fantastic, and look forward to meeting all of you. And I know we've got a dinner coming up again before you leave, and look forward to that as well. So, thank you.
I just wanted to say a couple things. You probably know that Mayor Pro Tem Chavez went to Australia with the adult trip. I also went, and I had the time of my life. I was able to stay with the Australian families, and they were just amazingly generous. I'm just going to say that I am going to be helping Donna Georgina with the dinner at her house, so you may have more fun than you do on Thursday. I don't know.
Depends on what they have for dinner.
Stay tuned. It's a surprise, I can't tell you. But
No
welcome. We
competition,
do
yeah.
have some certificates, some city certificates for you, and we also have some gifts. So thank you again. Thank you very much for coming. We're very happy. And if the council members can
Just one last thing I would like to say. With this group, and I actually emailed Bridget, who you guys have
who I
met.
stayed with.
It took about 24 hours for me to email her to say, you may not get these kids back.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because they are really wonderful. So just,
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear it. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Oops, sorry. I'm just going to read what the certificates say. In recognition of our partnership, in recognition of your participation in the Temple City Hawkesbury Student Exchange Program, we commend you for helping expand the mission of Sister Cities programs throughout the world to promote peace through mutual respect, understanding, and cooperation, one individual, one community at a time. Thank you. I'm going to come up here. Yeah, I was going to just do it. Claire Adamson. Oh, this is a hard one. Taylor Barbados. Sorry. Katie Derwin. Archer Dunicliffe. Or you screw that up. Campbell Egan. Rose Lynn.
I know.
Just like you were, only it's only gonna be you six.
Tim, you come on over here. Everybody scoot this way. There you go. That's better. All right. Great, thank you.
It's over here.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to be moving on to item B, recognition of Alan Hwang for donation of Little Free Library. Where is Alan? There he is. On behalf of the City Council, I would like to recognize Temple City High School student Alan Hwang. You can come over here. Hold on. For his donation of a Little Free Library to the city. Alan built the Little Rocket Ship Library to commemorate the rocket ship play structure that used to be at Live Oak Park. You can find the Rocket Ship Library in the lobby of Live Oak Park Community Center. The Little Free Library is a free book exchange program. There are approximately 8 Little Free Libraries in the community located in schools, church, city hall, and in city parks. We invite everyone to take, return, and donate books to the Little Free Library. Something for you?
We're going up.
And if my city council could please come. Hi. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You know what? I just would like to present this to you. We'll take pictures after. In recognition of your donation of a free Little Free Library to the city of Temple City, the commitment you have shown does not go unnoticed. You are an extraordinary example for the community. Okay, we're going to move on to item C, Farmers Market Update. I would like to invite Mrs. Gretchen Sterling, Farmers Market Manager, to come up and provide us with an update on the activities of the market.
Well, good evening, council members, mayor, and staff. It's really exciting to have the kids from Australia. I was just there in February. That's why I couldn't be with you. And I was just telling the city attorney that, or clerk, that the biggest spectacular thing that we did in Australia was on a train ride, we stopped in the middle of the night. Everybody got out that wanted to get out, and we saw the constellations in the southern hemisphere and the Milky Way, because we were in the middle of the outback and there was nothing. So, anyway, I'm glad they're here, and I know that they're having a fabulous time. I just know. I can't even fathom how far they've come and what all they've seen. We are different but the same.
Yes.
Farmers Market. We just had our 8th anniversary in March. And I don't know that you know that, and maybe we don't recognize enough of our anniversaries, but maybe we'll do something really spectacular for 10. We're struggling with weather this year, as everything. We all need weather. We all need rain. But when I left home, I had 200 gallons of water already stored in containers, and there was no place else for it to store while I was gone. And you had, I don't know how many inches of rain. So it's had an effect on us this first quarter. But we're gearing up. We have our stone fruit coming in. We have cherries coming in the next couple of weeks. We're just moving along. And then I understand we might have a possibility of doing some additional social media things with the city, which would be wonderful. We do maintain a Facebook page and all of the other things. I am the least technological of my little group of 3 or 4. So I'm still back in the string and soup can era, but I try. So what can I tell you about how wonderful the fruits and vegetables are, and how much our farmers like the customers that come? The other day, one of our newer vendors selling apples was talking about, what did he need to do to get the trust of the residents. And 2 of his neighbors came over to him immediately and said, once you establish that relationship with your customers, they're yours for life. They come every week. They exchange little pleasantries. They exchange little recipes. And they were telling this new man that just hang in a little longer. Get your signs. If you have to find someone to translate for you, we'll do that. And several of our farmers just think that this is one of their best days of the week. It's coming on Sunday. It's easy to drive to LA on Sunday. It's easy to drive home on Sunday if they leave early enough. But they're committed, and our customers are committed, and it's been a very nice working arrangement.
Thank you. Gretchen, I have a question. Can you remind us of the times it's open?
From 7:30 until 12:30 on Sunday mornings. It's
Okay.
it's on the new banner that's out across the street.
Correct.
And we're struggling looking for some people to come in and do some cooking. We lost our Mexican food person a while back, 2-3 months ago. And because we, the market, do not provide a sink that's required by the health department, some of the people who want to come in and do cooking don't have a sink. And the health department requires a 3-compartment sink. Other markets in the area supply a sink. We don't have that capability. We would have trouble even getting space for them to have a slop drain. But we're working on it.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
When you say you're working on it, have you addressed that with our city manager, or?
No, not yet.
Okay.
We're trying to come up with finding someone who has a sink and is willing to share with someone else who can come in. Up to 4 food people can share the same sink.
so one of the vendors would come in with a sink.
Yeah. It has to be a 3-compartment sink with hot and cold water.
How are the attendance numbers? Would you characterize them as being up, down, kind of stable?
They're really stable for the different times of year, except this past quarter because of the rain and very different weather. We were down a little bit in dollar volume, but now that the rains are hopefully past for this season, we ought to be doing really well because all of the fruits are really, and vegetables are really happy with the rain that they got. It's not any different than your plants at home that are blooming that you didn't know that they would come up again.
And the number of vendors, last time I was there, it appeared that there weren't as many as in the past, or
Well,
does that come and go, or is that?
that comes and goes. That's really depending on the weather and what's in season. We're coming into our most full time of year. Strawberries, then fruits, other summer produce. In the wintertime, you get tired, of eating oranges, broccoli, and cauliflower and carrots, as we all do.
Whatever happened to Homeboy Industries? Did they just,
They have
Decide not to come
dropped
back?
out of all of the markets that they were doing.
really?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's too bad, because they seem to be a very popular
Yes,
vendor.
yes, they were.
I know we like them.
And, but
They're not doing it anymore?
they have dropped out of all of them. I think the only thing that they do is, they still have Homegirl Cafe downtown. I don't see the Homegirl arm at other markets.
But
They
I
were
think you
doing,
have another bakery, or selling baked goods, don't you? Have another vendor selling baked goods?
yes, we do. And Mary Sue, who is a local resident, moved to Minnesota in the fall to be near her family. And I see pictures of her every once in a while. She's saying, "Snow again?" I go, "Are you sure you want to go to Minnesota?" She did, though. She's got grandchildren there. So, but no, Homeboy, they just seem to have changed their focus. I don't know if they were having too many problems with their employees getting out to markets on time and then complying with the health department requirements. Because the health department keeps changing and advancing, and since I started markets before the Los Angeles County Health Department was involved with markets. And that happened in the early to mid-90s when they came around and decided that they too could charge fees for every market that someone goes to for a health fee. And it gets very costly. It's for someone to come in and sell with us prepackaged, the health fee is over $400 a year. That's before they ever buy their product. They've got to pay that out to the health department. So it takes a while to make that up.
One of the women who used to work with you, a young lady, I forget her name.
Selena.
Selena, is she still with you?
Yes, she's still there.
I know in talking with her in the past, she was asking me about maybe different ways that the city could help to attract more people
Yes.
to come. And I would urge you to contact our city manager, and if there's anything that we can do to help make it better, or do something to help with the numbers. Because I know that's what you rely on, and certainly that's why the vendors are there.
Yes.
The more people that come, the more they're going to buy, hopefully.
And Selena and I had met with some interns in marketing that were here, I'm going to say maybe 4 years ago, and did some brainstorming and came up with some good ideas, and then they left.
Well,
And so we're still,
you mean interns in the city?
uh-huh,
Yeah, well, we have people there, so I
Yeah.
urge you to take advantage of that, and I'm sure we
well,
can
we're
do that.
always glad that we're in the Connect magazine, and I know that we have a presence on your city's website.
Right.
And
Thank you.
we're glad to be doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen.
Mhm.
Thank you for the update.
Anything else that I can do?
Any other questions?
Keep up
Thank
the
you.
good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and open up public comments. We have Miss Lucy Liu.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, City Manager, and City staff. I am here to remind everybody, this coming Thursday is our Area 4 Neighborhood Watch meeting. We will be at First Lutheran Church, 9123 Broadway, 5:30 to 7:30. Topic for discussion again this year is how to survive an active shooter, and also the endless burglaries. We're doing great, you know, with a lot of arrests and whatnot, but it's you never should put down your guard. So come find out, learn about how to protect your possessions, how to protect your family, and also how to survive a mass shooting event. Wonderful street tacos, courtesy of the city, 5:30 to about 7-ish. And come meet your neighbors, come ask questions. I mean, if you've been to one, come to another one. It's very dynamic. So, and Mayor Pro Tem, are you gonna bring your friends to this Thursday's meeting? They could add to their fun.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see them, yeah.
They already had a Mexican dinner, so I don't know if they're up for
Oh,
tacos.
feed
again,
them
but-
before you bring them.
There you go.
So yes, welcoming everybody from the city. It doesn't matter what area you live in. These meetings are always open to residents. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. The next one, next speaker we have in public comments is Levi Sun from the San Gabriel Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District. Levi?
All right.
Hi.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Levi Sun. I'm with the San Gabriel Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District. For those of you who are not aware of who we are a public health agency. We control for mosquitoes and also survey all the diseases that can transmit. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but our mosquito problem has gotten a lot bigger these past couple years.
Really big.
So
We have
one
a
of
big
the
problem.
one of the worst things about these mosquitoes is that they tend to bite a lot. And when they bite, they can give us certain diseases that we absolutely do not like. And the one you see here, her name is Ada Ease. She is an Aedes mosquito. She's a black and white mosquito, and she bites aggressively during the day. Unfortunately, when she bites, she can transmit Zika, yellow fever, dengue fever, and these mosquitoes have been known to be called ankle biters, and they bite very aggressively. They don't just bite once, they bite multiple people at a time. And when they do bite, they can cause a lot of itchiness. So what we want everyone to remember is to keep mosquitoes away, you want to get rid of all the stagnant water around your home, or else they'll keep bugging you, which we do not like. And also, make sure you use repellent to keep mosquitoes away so they don't keep bugging you as you're talking. Because the one last thing we definitely don't want is for any mosquito to come back in, say, Temple City or throughout Southern California to start spreading something like Zika. And next week is California Mosquito Awareness Week. It's a time to recommit to our community to get rid of these mosquitoes so that they do not bug us the rest of the year. And with a community that's involved with everyone, we could definitely get rid of these Aedes mosquitoes.
Excellent.
So, thank you, Council.
Thank you, Levi. Thank you.
Oh, and Ada Ease has actually brought with her some Zika to give to the council.
Oh. Oh, my goodness.
Thank you.
Just want to remind everyone
We're wondering
to
where you were.
tip and toss. As it gets hotter, we will have more mosquitoes doing their thing to be sure that they are more prolific. So dump your water, tip and toss. That's our motto. And next week is from what day to what day again?
The 21st to 27th.
Is mosquito awareness. So if you're not aware now, you should be.
Yes.
Thank you to our captain.
Great job. Great job.
Great job. Jerry, do you need a picture? No?
So Cindy, do you go out of cities like that? You're gonna come.
Thank you. Thank you,
Great job.
Councilmember Sterncrest.
You need to bring the captain with you.
That is so cute. Yeah, where's the? This is above and beyond. Okay.
Pick one with, take one with out.
Adorable.
What do you guys want to do today?
No, no, pick one with.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go.
Where's Davis?
Where's your handler?
Come on, Davis. I knew the bug was coming. No, I was just saying, I knew the bug was coming, but I didn't know she was gonna be the bug.
I was beginning to get worried. That she'd cough and then she'd laugh. I said, well, you know, is she getting sick or something?
I did too. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close public comments unless there's anyone else. Peter, did you have anything? No? Okay, I'm gonna close public comments, move on to item number 7, consent calendar. All consent calendar items may be approved in a single motion as recommended unless removed for further discussion. I would like to pull item 7C, adoption of resolution number 195389, confirming mayor's appointments of council members to serve as delegates and alternates to other agencies or organizations.
Mayor Fish, make a motion for consent calendar items except for 7C.
Second.
Okay, can I get a roll call?
Councilmember Mann,
Yes.
Councilmember Sternquist will return. Councilmember Yu,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez, Mayor Fish.
Yes. Okay, the reason I pulled item number 7C is I would like to appoint a liaison to the Camino Festival organization since Temple City is their main sponsor, and I would like to appoint myself as the representative. Do we need anything, a discussion?
No,
How
it's
does that work? Second?
It's your prerogative.
Okay, is there
Mayor.
any discussion? No? Okay.
No, it's great.
Do I need a motion?
No.
How do we do it? Okay, motion to approve item C as stated, amended.
Well, Madam Mayor, I move to approve item C as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Mann,
Yes.
Councilmember Yu,
Yes.
Mayor Fish.
Yes.
I could hear you. It's okay.
Sorry, I'm moving on. Okay, we're going to be going to public hearing. Item number 8, public hearing, none. Item 9, unfinished business. Contract with Fairbanks, Maslin, Mullen, Metz and Associates. Approval of the contract will provide the city with information about what services are important to the community and gauge the community's understanding of the issues surrounding city services. City manager?
Mayor Fish, do you mind if I hang on for just another moment with this
Do you
item?
want to wait for? Okay.
There we go.
She's got water.
Mayor Fish, members of the council, before you tonight is consideration of a survey that we talked about at our last meeting related to the fiscal challenges that the city has with several of its services. The direction was to bring back the contract for services. Fairbanks, Maslin, and Mullen would conduct the survey, and they are considered the preeminent survey and polling firm in the County of Los Angeles, if not the state. The League of California Cities, County of Los Angeles, many other entities across California use Fairbanks, Maslin, and Mullen. We actually used them back in late 2016, early 2017 to conduct a survey, a statistically valid survey. Polling is becoming more difficult nowadays. It's becoming more difficult because people just don't have traditional landlines anymore. You just don't pick up a phone and somebody's there, wait for their answering machine. Then, in addition to that, because we have these smartphones, it's even harder because people don't pick up landlines or they don't pick up their phones. So it's a lot more labor-intensive process than it used to be. So the Fairbanks, Maslin, and Mullen has been doing this for a long time. It takes a multi-pronged approach. Traditional survey, online, texting, and other things to get what will be a statistically valid evaluation of the community's preferences, voters' preferences, and how they would respond to the issue of addressing fiscal issues. There would be as the letter from Fairbanks, Maslin, and Mullen states, it would be about 420 surveys, 100 of which would be additional surveys to deal with those individuals dealing with the assessment district. So it would be, again, all of this to gain it would be a statistically valid survey. So that obviously you see, during the presidential debate, presidential times, there's a plus or minus margin of error, those kind of things going forward.
How many voters do we have in the city? Do we know?
Peggy, do you know off the top of your head?
About 37,000.
37,000 voters?
17,000.
17,000 voters. So 400 is a representative sample?
Actually, I can step in and help here. 400 may not seem like a representative sample, but from a statistical, scientific point of view, it's considered a statistically valid number. I know that may seem counterintuitive, but a city, Pasadena, could do a survey, and once they get 400, it's statistically valid.
So no matter how many voters you have, 400 is the number?
Creates statistical validity.
Wow.
What they do have to do when doing their survey is ensure that they're getting a decent cross-section of the city as part of their survey, but that's what they're experts at. It's the number 400 in terms of responses, again, presuming they do their job correctly, that gives it the validity.
So with that, we would be developing the survey. The survey would go out in late May or in early June, and results coming back to the council in July. So you can make some considerations related to any potential issues or ballot measures that would come up in November, March, or the following November after that. And I think that's it.
Okay, council questions?
Yes,
Councilmember
Mayor
Yu-
Fish.
I mean, yeah.
Just one quick maybe clarification. The not to exceed amount for Fairbanks is 37,000, and the second part of the recommendation is appropriation of 52,000. So that difference is for.
The difference is for some additional services that we've used other firms to assist us with. Not that, because the 37,000 is just for the survey.
Right.
The other is for additional services to kind of assist in that whole process.
Okay, so there's other consultants involved,
Yes.
but not Fairbanks.
Not Fairbanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I have
Yes.
a question for the city manager. I believe last time when we conducted a survey, we actually have an ad hoc committee.
Yeah, yes, you did.
Yeah, yeah. Would it make sense would that help with guiding? Because I think that just like last time when this topic was brought up, there were a lot of questions from the city council. And I was just wondering if it would help the quality of our survey if the mayor should appoint an ad hoc committee from the council to help.
I think it would help in the sense of providing some, because this is your survey at the end of the day of what you're trying to gauge. They can be a good feedback loop for that too. So yes, we did that. We did that on the last survey as well. Happy to do. We can absolutely do that again.
It's a great idea.
Is that included in their services, though, to meet with an ad hoc committee and discuss the findings and
Their
however other meetings
services
going to
are comprehensive, so as many phone calls as we need and stuff and those kind of things.
Good to hear.
Yeah, I think when we did it
Well, I'm
last,
sure there's a limit to that.
there's a limit, but they'll be accommodating. Having worked with them for many years myself, they are they know what it takes to get the job done.
Anything else, Councilmember Green?
No.
Councilmember Sternquist?
No, I believe it was Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Chavez, and you were on the last ad hoc?
It was
Or who
me.
was that? Vincent?
No, it was
Ms. Vince and I.
I think that's a good group to have.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. No. Mayor Pro Tem Chavez?
No, I have no
Any other
questions. Nope, thank you.
Okay. I'd like to open public comments. Mr. Jambazian.
Thank you, Mayor Fish and council members. Jerry Jambazian. Can you give us an idea as to what a sampling of questions would be and how many there would be, and maybe 5 questions that would benefit Temple City residents? Are those all developed by the city
Go ahead.
or by them?
City Manager.
The consultant and the city staff and the ad hoc will work together. Again, we hire these folks for their expertise in how to develop the questionnaire, the methodology to use to get valid answers. In this sense, we're trying to task how the community feels about the services that they receive and the fiscal challenges they have, be it our prior discussion on pavement management. So usually they're about a 20-minute survey. I think the last questionnaire that we did with the survey last time was about 35 to 40 questions total, plus or minus, and depending on how people respond, sometimes those questions get narrowed down even further, but it's about a 20-minute response to most of those questionnaires. That's why it's a labor-intensive process for the consultant. So, and those questions try to dive down to understand what the voter's looking for, kind of testing the validity of their answers as well. Maybe initially they have the initial answer to something is, oh yes, I'm super enthusiastic about it, but when you ask other questions, they may not be as enthusiastic as their initial response going forward. So that's the best I can answer right now.
So the short answer is no, we don't have the questions yet.
We don't.
Well, I guess,
But we will be working on that.
yeah.
And I think I can kind of analogize this more to like when attorneys retain experts and the experts know what they have to do. We give them the goal, we give them what we want, and then of course, with their guidance, we will of course have, sounds like some input into that, but this is really their job, and they're going to hopefully come up with a good plan and some good questions that will help us to achieve the goals that we want from this study.
Good,
So-
thank you. I would assume one of those would probably be, what's your feelings on funding for pavement management or improving our roads, I would think.
Yes.
That's probably,
That's
to
a
me,
good
that
guess.
probably is the larger goal.
Mhm.
How do, because I think most people, I think it's a way how you word the question too.
Yes.
Because, you can sometimes ask a question that, oh, that'll generate more questions in that person's mind.
Right.
And so we want them to focus, and of course, we want to be as clear and transparent as we can. So
Good.
I'm confident that these people, together with staff, will be able to come up with some good questions that will help us to make our decisions down the road.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Are there any other public comments? Okay, moving on to council comments. Do we have any other council comments? Questions? I have a question. Do we set up the ad hoc as part of the motion, or do we do it separate?
I would do it separately.
Okay,
Yep, separate from the motion, so create that first, and then you can go about moving on the contract.
so approve it first and then do the, okay, that's what I thought, okay.
I have a question now, and I think I just want to make sure, based on the recommendation, you're asking us to appropriate $52,500. Does that include the $37,500?
Yes.
Okay, because it wasn't.
Sorry,
I
if
wanna
that
make
wasn't
sure
clear, I
that
apologize. Yes.
includes that.
That includes that.
Okay, because it kind of, it's in different paragraphs, and almost the way it's worded, it's like an additional 52.
No, that's all encompassing.
Okay, so,
Okay, I will entertain a
Yeah.
motion.
okay, Madam Mayor, I would make a motion that we authorize the city manager, maybe we should do this kind of backwards from the recommendation. Maybe authorize the city manager to appropriate $52,500 for survey and related support services from undesignated general fund balance, and to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a not-to-exceed $37,500 contract from that appropriation for professional services with Fairbank, Maslin, Mullen, Metz, and Associates to conduct a comprehensive survey on community services needs and potential fiscal measures.
Second that.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Sternquist?
Yes.
Councilmember Yu?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez?
Yes.
Mayor Fish?
Yes. Now, I believe I need a motion to, correct? I need a motion to,
I don't think you need a motion, I think
No?
you
I
just
think that's
appoint.
your
do I just
authority, right?
appoint?
She could just appoint.
Yeah, she can just appoint ad hocs.
She could just appoint.
So the appointment of an ad hoc is the mayor's prerogative, so you don't need a motion or your council members to agree with you. You can simply appoint the two members who volunteered, and we'll add that to the agenda under ad hoc and standing committee reports, and then if reports are necessary in the future, we'll have those until the ad hoc is disbanded.
Excellent. Okay. I would like to appoint an ad hoc for this survey, and I believe I have the two council members and Mayor Pro Tem. Would you like to do that again?
Absolutely.
So it will be Councilmember Yu and Mayor Pro Tem Chavez.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, we're going to be moving on to item 10, new business. Co-sponsor 2019 Moon Festival and Gourmet Food Fair with World Journal. The City Council is requested to host and co-sponsor a 2019 Moon Festival and Gourmet Food Fair with World Journal on Saturday, September 7th through Sunday, September 8th, 2019.
Mayor Fish, members of the council, it's my pleasure to bring forward again the request from staff and from World Journal LA to co-sponsor a 2019 Moon Festival and Gourmet Food Fair. Last year was a very successful event, both no major incidences, and we came below our budget. We really can't do this type of scale of a project this cost efficiently in any way. Staff does a great job, but when we're talking about the scale of this type of event, we need partners, and this is a cost-effective way of which to do that. We are comfortable in bringing forward to you this recommendation again for a couple of reasons. One, we're very comfortable with the footprint of how we do the event. The team, the World Journal team, is back there that we worked many hours together with, Jason, Conan, and team. They may change some tents around, they may do some other things, but what we as the city are concerned about from a safety standpoint and others is the footprint, because that dictates the capacity, that dictates kind of the traffic and everything else that we're going to be doing. So we're very comfortable with that. we essentially mimic the Camellia Festival in that footprint. So we know that footprint well, we understand it, we know its risk. Last year, I think one other difference from last year is that we did approve a beer garden last year, but it was removed with some struggles they were having with sponsorships. This year, the World Journal has just asked not to have that as a component of the event. They're great partners. They work really hard. They really put out all the stops in terms of what happened during, before, and especially the key one I think is after the event as well. And worked really well with staff. So we look forward to working with them again for the 2019 festival. So that's it. Very similar. Nothing has changed. Footprint's the same. If some of those things had changed, maybe we would have come back with a few different recommendations. But we know what we're getting into. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Do we have any council questions?
I have one. I was just wondering, what were those things that you felt they could improve on?
It's just logistical day of stuff, and we always learn. Every event, Camellia Festival or anything else, it just logistical meetings. We'll probably do a few more planning meetings beforehand, know what we know and know what we had an after action meeting as well that kind of nailed down some just things you wouldn't see, more behind the scenes. They make it look wonderful. It was more of those behind the scenes. Working with the county fire department, a few of those things is what we're going to be kind of working through.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you have a question?
And looking at the map, it appears that we're not going to be using the parking lot next to the library. Then because that's not our parking lot, right?
Right.
Correct.
So are we, or we're not going to use that? It appears that there's some barriers.
Last year we did not use it, so we excluded it. But we, as staff on the city side, we will have to let the county library and the county know. But there's no proposed activity in and around that area.
And if I'm sure that you'll discuss that I think at the opening, we usually have some dignitaries there.
Yeah.
Will there be some parking set aside for those that maybe in our lot,
Yes,
our personal lot there?
We'll be working with the school district again.
We will not?
We will.
Oh, okay.
And I think I can't remember exactly where we had the dignitary parking last year, but we'll figure it out.
Okay. And it looks like they're only going to be using half of the park area in front of the stage?
That's just a tentative map for now.
Okay,
but
so-
the whole park will be used.
Okay, so that whole green area
Yeah.
in front and behind the stage will be open for,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's probably a better idea, so it's not as crowded.
Yeah, and some of the things I'll be looking to improve is how kind of spacing and those kind of things.
And obviously, we won't be having the farmer's market that weekend.
We have 2 times a year that we can come to not do it, and this and the Camellia Festival.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Thanks.
Did you have any questions?
Just a question for Mr. City Manager. Would there be, will we plan on having some city booths and city tents?
Yeah, we'll have that. We're thinking about, World Journal was extremely generous to us last time.
Right.
With that, doing maybe some consolidation on that so we can rotate that a little bit better, but I'll be fleshing that out.
I thought that was a huge success last year and be able to meet with the residents and.
You mean for us?
For us, yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
We'll have to raise it a little bit better. There was some dead space, which
Right,
that we want to do a better job of managing that since they were generous to us about the
Right,
amount of
right,
space that they
right.
gave us. So we'll try to consolidate and find some ways to work with them on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe a better understanding of the purpose of that booth, not just to stop and eat and sit.
Yeah.
We were there and we were bombarded with people, I remember last time, but they
Yeah.
weren't there they really weren't sure why they were there. We were there to maybe talk to them or address issues, but
Yeah.
they weren't there for that reason.
Yeah, they
Well,
were
we
interested
had those
in the
nice
food.
seats.
Yeah, we had those nice seats,
So people
very
wanted to
comfortable.
stop
People
by
were
and-
taking advantage of it. I don't
They
blame
were
them.
interested in our
I don't
food
blame
and
them.
water as well, yeah, so.
Did you have any questions, Councilmember Mann?
Yeah, I guess related to Councilmember Yu's question, when you say booths, you also mean the booths that we have reserved for like our local organizations?
Yeah,
that
local
would-
organizations, school
Okay.
districts and all,
All right.
yeah.
I had the same question too, so.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember
That's all.
Sternquist? No, anything? I just wanted to say thank you. Councilmember Mann and I were actually on the planning part, and we helped to facilitate some issues last year because it was the first year with this particular group of leaders. And I want to say, I thought everything went very smoothly. They delivered what they said they were going to do on time, smoothly, so organized. I'm sure there were issues. I never saw them. I never saw any issues, as whether it was trash, traffic. That you could always find someone to talk to. So I'd like to thank World Journal. I think it's a great partnership. I'm glad that we're doing it again. And like I said, I have a little tiny bit of experience doing it, and I'm always kind of hypersensitive in looking at little details and how how I think I could improve them. But I want to compliment you because, like I said, I think it was just a great event last year. Okay.
Perhaps Councilmember Sternquist would like to bring the buck back in the middle of September.
Actually, they will take
bring the book.
reservations, so
There you go. That would be
if
good.
staff wants to contact them to reserve it, and also for concerts in the park, because we start in June, so they're taking reservations now. And I just have a question for our city manager. The giant mosquito thinks she can't see, thinks the glasses might be in the back or in the restroom. When you get a chance. Thank you.
To address the issue brought up by council members Mann and you, the agreement does provide for, I believe, 5 free vendor booths for the
great.
city.
I missed that one. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd like to open public comments on this item. Mr. Jambazian.
Good evening again. I'm in love with the idea. I think it's great. Speaking for myself and Deputy Zuniga, we can't wait for the gourmet stinky tofu.
Thank you, Jerry.
I think they brought free samples tonight, Jerry.
Any other public comments? Okay, any other council comments?
Mayor
Oh.
Fish.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do want to echo what Mayor Fish just said about the World Journal team. I don't have much event planning experience, so I thought having Mayor Fish as part of the planning, I guess it was sort of like an informal committee. But World Journal, very responsive, very professional. They had everything laid out well, planned out, executed well. And what I was particularly impressed by was the lack of trash on the ground. Because that's always a big deal for me is when I go to just any event where there's a lot of people that's in other cities or other areas and venues, you tend to get that sense that people just kind of throw things everywhere, but man, their crew was on top of it.
Yes,
So
they were.
that I gotta compliment, my compliments to your staff for doing that. And also I thought the programming was well done. And the number of vendors and the variety of those vendors that you were able to bring in was also well done as well. One thing, like I think Councilmember Sternquist mentioned, things we could improve. One area for just a sort of broad general suggestion is perhaps we can look into maybe a bit more integration with some of our local organizations, whether it comes to performances, because we have a lot of talented groups
Yes,
in
we
our
do.
city,
Yes.
from the high school, et cetera. So perhaps maybe on the staff end, we could somehow facilitate that. I would love to see more
It's a
of
great
that
idea.
as well. But yeah, I'm
Perhaps
wholeheartedly.
the contestants for Temple City has talents can perform there.
There's
That
there's an
was
endless
amazing.
number
Yeah.
of
It's amazing.
groups that
We'll
I
bring back
can think
past
of.
winners as well. Yeah, might be.
Who provides the trash receptacles? Is that Athens, or do we?
World
that
Journal
some-
works, partners with Athens to assist with that.
Okay.
But it's a lot of World Journal's labor. actually makes that
Yes,
all
it
happen.
is.
That was a
Their
good job.
But we
people.
also have staff there to
We do have staff there.
empty
Yeah,
trash
but
cans.
yeah, in terms of the day-to-day, and staff does a great job, but
Staff, sheriff department as well.
Sheriff Department and everybody else, but yeah, they do an excellent
They do.
job and work well with us.
Yes. Okay, any other council comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor Fish, I'd like to make a motion to, hold on, give me a second. It's a couple items. To approve hosting and co-sponsorship of a 2019 Moon Festival and Gourmet Food Fair with World Journal on Saturday, September 7th through Sunday, September 8th, 2019. To approve a temporary parking ban and street closure on Las Tunas Drive between Kaufman and Golden West from 6 a.m. September 7th, 2019 through 11:59 p.m. on September 8th, 2019. To waive all fees and deposits for use of Temple City Park and the Performing Arts Pavilion. Waive all fees and authorize city staff to hang a street banner on Las Tunas Drive from August 18th to September 8th, 2019. To approve the use of the city seal and city logo for advertising and promotional materials. And grant World Journal a special event permit with the conditions and responsibilities stated in the staff report, and authorize the city manager to place additional conditions if necessary.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Sternquist?
Yes.
Councilmember Yu?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez?
Yes.
Mayor Fish?
Yes. Motion approved. Moving on to item 11, update from city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Fish. Couple updates for you. As we had casually mentioned before, the library expansion project and renovation project is now in plan check with the county. We are working also too on the public art component, which we will be able to unveil to the council in the next couple months as well, which is an exciting concept. And so things are moving along on that front.
Great.
Banners on Rosemary Boulevard. We are working on getting those banners down that are deteriorated, and working on some concepts to present to you on how you can replace some of those banners as well.
Are you talking about the Blue Star banners?
No, the
Oh.
ones, the city logo ones that are on Rosemary.
Oh, yeah.
The ugly ones.
The ones that
Yeah.
are all faded out?
Yeah, the ones that are all
those.
faded out and looking pretty ugly. Lastly, SB 341, Senator Rubio's legislation that would allow the city of Temple City to use their ad valorem funds from the Landscape and Lighting District to provide a broader public benefit to the community is in print now. Mayor Fish and I will be going to Sacramento at the end. We were supposed to go last week, and as things changed, they moved the hearing date as well. So we'll actually be going in the end of the month, the 30th, to testify. Things are looking good. No big questions so far. So we'll know after that first committee hearing at the end of the month and report back to you.
I would make a suggestion that maybe before going, you might want to speak with the city who was successful in doing that last time and find out what the good arguments were and the bad arguments, and maybe what they want to hear might help, since I believe La Puente is the
I was
only
gonna say
one
that was La Puente,
to
right?
have been successful so far, so.
I can talk to the interim
I'm
city
sure-
manager of
I'm sure you
West
have
Covina,
some
who was the city
contacts
manager
over
of La Puente.
Has other city tried and
I was
not
just gonna ask
successful?
that, Brian. Do we know if anybody else has actually tried and been denied?
I am not aware of any that has tried
Okay.
this legislation before and failed.
But Mayor Pro Tem suggestion is wonderful. You know,
Yeah.
let's find out who,
Absolutely.
what will
No,
work.
We need to go in
Yeah.
there and have all the
Good.
right, yeah. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
That concludes my report for this evening, Mayor.
Okay, update from city attorney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council. Just two quick items tonight. First of all, we have been monitoring housing bills coming up. There's nothing concrete worth talking about yet, but as the council knows, Governor Newsom is interested in taking away local control over housing and putting more of that control in Sacramento. So we'll continue to watch. We're also monitoring the League of California Cities and their input and their positions they're taking. And as soon as something needs to come to you for the city to take a position, we'll put it right on your agenda. The second thing, Councilmember, you had asked about potential regulations of Airbnb and similar types of uses. What I've seen in my research over the last couple weeks was that simply refusing to allow those types of uses is probably going to be a recipe for a lawsuit. We haven't seen that in California yet, but in the state of Ohio and in another state, I believe Colorado, it's resulted in some litigation. What we see more often are either permits or limitations with permits. Simply permitting them would be a resident would come in or a property owner would come in, say that they'd like to use their property for an Airbnb, a short-time rental, and then the city would know that the property was being used that way. City can compile a list of those properties, and then that way we have some idea of what's going on when other residents call to complain. Second thing you could do is put limitations on that type of use along with a permitting process. Then the final kind of piece of that puzzle is what we've been watching with the Santa Monica litigation, which is Santa Monica actually sued Airbnb saying, and other platforms saying that they could not close a sale or close a rental on a property that was not on the approved list within the city. They've won at the appellate court level, and this has to do with a bunch of federal laws about control over what's said on the internet, First Amendment type issues. But they were successful because they said, we're not controlling what's said, we're controlling the closing of a financial transaction. So they tried to really limit it, and they've been successful with that.
Wait, so.
Sure.
So City of Santa Monica is telling Airbnb that you cannot enter into an agreement until you comply with certain regulations.
Right. You cannot enter into an agreement to facilitate the leasing, short-term leasing of a property in our city if that property is not on our registration list, and you have to come to us and get a current registration
And
list.
Santa Monica so far prevailed, you said?
They prevailed at the appellate court level,
Okay.
yes. And just did that last month. So,
So currently, we don't really have any regulations regarding Airbnb, is that correct?
you do not.
Okay.
Brian, I have a question. Do you know if we've had any complaints about?
I've heard of a couple personally.
Yes,
Have you?
we
Have
have.
you gotten
And
complaints about Airbnb?
what we are, the manner in which we are dealing with them now,
Mhm.
short-term rentals, is that we are not, if you are only allowed to rent out a facility for in excess of 30 days. If you rent it out for less than 30 days, we are working with our current municipal code to enforce it in that manner. Not calling it Airbnb, whatever it may, whoever it may be, if it's through Airbnb or it's through, the Penny Saver.
So
We're treating them all the same.
So we do have an ordinance that says you cannot rent for less than 30 days.
Correct, and that is what we are exercising right now. with
Unless,
the-
of course, it's a motel or.
Unless it is
Some
classified as a
exception.
motel and has the conditional use permit and
Right.
the entitlements for that type of activity. But the way that we are dealing with the short-term rental issue is through our existing ordinance right now.
Is less than 30 days in a month?
Correct.
It's less than 30 days in a row.
Yes.
So
In a row. Oh,
hotel
consecutive
motel.
days.
Thank you.
right.
Okay.
A hotel motel is defined and can only be in a commercial zone. It's defined as only being able to be rented up to 30 days. If you go beyond that, then you become a residence.
Okay.
And so your code says in residential areas, you cannot rent for fewer than 30 days because you don't want that in and out traffic that you want to have in your commercial zones.
So in your opinion, is it best to have an ordinance that just outright prohibits the rentals of B&B, or?
I'll step in for a quick sec. We're going to be working through that issue through the zoning code update as well.
Okay, good, that's what I want.
So, the city attorney's office will be working with staff,
Okay.
kind of working
Okay.
through that issue. We have what we have on the books right now, which we are is enforceable to the greatest extent possible, but we'll have to be working through that
But I
issue
just
going forward.
thought I heard the Smooth City attorney said that's problematic. We ban it outright.
It's problematic because they've brought lawsuits, right? The platforms have brought lawsuits because it hurts their business model.
Correct.
Doesn't mean that they're going to win all their lawsuits, but it's more of an invitation to a lawsuit than would be a set of regulations that limit the amount of short-term rentals, limit the total number of short-term rentals. We can go through a number of different iterations of what can go in those, and that's something that, as the city manager said, probably best served coming in as part of the zoning code update.
Are you aware of any other cities that have taken that step, other than maybe Santa Monica, to limit these Airbnbs in that manner?
So what Santa Monica has done, again, they require registration, and what they had found was that apartment buildings, tenants were being evicted, and apartment buildings were being turned into de facto motels. They didn't like it because they said we're losing our more moderate or lower income residential opportunities in lieu or in favor of short-term guests. And so that's why they require people that want to do short-term rentals to register with the city. And then one of their limitations is only a given number of units in a complex can be rented out on a short-term basis. City of Los Angeles has something similar. The bigger the city, the more, I would say, the closer it is to entertainment options, the more likely it is that they've dealt with it already.
And
That makes,
for those short-term rentals, does the city of Santa Monica require a business license since it becomes a business at that point?
I would have to look to find for sure. Certainly they require a permit. It's not just registration and have at it, it's a permitting scheme.
Thank you.
okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
Just, I imagine the fact that we already have the short-term rental restriction. Even if we outright ban Airbnb, I mean, the enforcement avenue will be very similar because you don't go and chase people out. You have to give them notices, you have to take administrative actions, and eventually if you don't comply, you go to court. So I'm not sure if there is any advantage in changing our ordinance to outright banning, because the enforcement be about the same?
Enforcement would be about the same. You would wind up having a greater knowledge of where they are. Most of the people will comply with the ordinance, and when first found to be violating by not having registered, the first action you can do is have them register. Then you know where they are. Then when residents call to complain, you'll know whether you're dealing with a short-term rental property or are dealing just with either a long-term rental property or a homeowner who themselves is acting in a problematic way. So having that information is helpful. Beyond that, really, it's a policy consideration for the five of you.
Could you just add the words such as B&Bs and clarify so that people, when they read what we're using currently, understand? Because I think some people will say, we don't understand. I didn't understand that that means a B&B. It's not a hotel.
Sure.
So if you just added specific language to what we're already using to say
Including online platforms. And,
yes, correct.
Yeah, sure.
Mayor Fish, I do have
Yes.
a question about that. So when you, actually maybe more for Mr. Cook, when you mentioned that this is going to be part of the broader zoning code update, you know how for the current zoning code update, we have the website that's available to the public showing details of that progress? And within that website, there's also almost like an informal survey of questions that we asked. So, I mean, considering this is, like Mr. Murphy mentioned, is more of a policy issue, I guess I'm wondering how that's going to unfold in terms of how much feedback council has in terms of that broader development of that specific update. Because I'd imagine the entire overhaul of the zoning code is going to be massive.
Right.
There's going to be lots of moving pieces, and this could be just one of those many moving pieces. And if we're trying to have that discussion within this very large piece, it could kind of get lost in the picture. So I guess maybe what I'm trying to say is it might be better for us to have a more focused discussion at a later time
I would rather do that.
than have that be lumped in as part of this massive zoning code
I agree.
discussion.
Yeah, and if I can circle back with both Mr. Forbes and Mr. Reimers and talk about, and then we're still going through that process. There'll be some discussions with you, council members, about the zoning code update as well. So I think there'll be I don't think you have to fear that this will kind of get lost in that shuffle. It's an issue that's popped up. So I think you'll be able to have the concentrated discussion and focus that you need on this one.
Okay, thank you.
Well, certainly it'll be a lot more interesting than some of the other zoning ones that we were discussing.
Depends on where you're coming
I
from,
don't
sir.
think,
I
I
don't know.
don't think anybody will miss that one.
Oh, by the way, Mayor Fish, I just have one separate question for the city attorney. I recently saw from I think League of California Cities, they mentioned that there was a recent case, I believe it's this month. I think it was a California Supreme Court case, T-Mobile versus City and County of San Francisco, pertaining to local regulation of wireless facilities and how much leeway local jurisdictions have when it comes to the aesthetics component of it. When I read through it, I wasn't really sure if that had any impact on the current ordinance that we have, because I know we've had this discussion roughly 2 or 3 years ago, and then we established one. So I guess I was just curious if maybe you can see if that has any basis or bearing on it, because I think my understanding of that case was that the city and county prevailed over T-Mobile. It was ruled in favor of local governance having more say in regulating the aesthetics of those facilities.
So I will get the case and make sure that I understand what the court has said, especially if it's come out of the Supreme Court. I recall that case as it was kind of going through the process. One of the problems with the case is it's fairly specific on its facts, and the city of San Francisco and its aesthetic regulations had made findings specifically related to some of its view sheds, including the bay, the island, the bridge, Coit Tower, places like that, and then was putting aesthetic regulations on so that some of those very specific view sheds that I say the words and we all know what they are, would not be impinged by or infringed upon by the wireless facilities. In light of that, we haven't been following that case that closely because they did make some really specific findings as to certain of their view corridors and what the aesthetic changes would mean to those corridors, where in other parts of the city they had much more standard regulations like what you already have in place. But I'll get the case and I'll be able to brief you on it later. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to be moving on to item 13. Council reports regarding ad hoc or standing committee meetings. I would at this time like to establish a city commissioner recruitment ad hoc to review the applications and recommend applicants for an interview with full council for appointment. Is anyone interested?
So current city commissioners will be interviewed also?
Well, we have to decide that.
Because I think that's
believe.
what you just said.
Ooh.
Mayor,
Pardon?
I think that's what you just said.
Right, isn't that what I just said? Establish yeah,
With the full council.
with the full council.
Okay,
So-
so that means that we are not going to do it how we did before, where there's,
Well, I think we have to actually decide that. What I need to do is establish an ad hoc, but we as a council have to decide if we want to interview everyone or just new applicants. Correct? Am I correct in that?
That's what we've been doing the past few times,
Okay.
yes.
Correct, okay.
And the ad hoc committee will help us.
They'll make the recommendations.
Okay, so do I
we're
need to do
not-
that in two parts? Does it?
Not necessarily, just make the appointment with the ad hoc and then come back with that, that's fine.
Okay. Is anyone interested in being a member of the ad hoc?
Sure.
Cindy? Anyone else?
Sure.
Okay, we'll have Councilmember Sternquist and Councilmember Mann, correct? And then, do we have to come back? And
The clerk's office will work with the ad hoc about the tentative schedule related to that, so that both Councilmember Sternquist and Councilmember Mann know kind of the timelines that we're working with and when we need to kind of come back to council and schedule all those. So they'll work
Okay.
together with the city clerk's office.
Okay, thank you. And are there any reports from any of our ad hoc or standing committees? We haven't really had any, have we? Okay, item 14, council items separate from the city manager's regular agenda. Councilmember Sternquist.
Yes, Proposition 68, funding grants are available, and that had to do with the grants from the California Department of Parks and Recreation. And I'm sure is this one of the ones that was on our list, Brian? And so basically, it says each city is entitled to $200,000, but you have to apply, and then there's like 4 categories, but it seems like we fit in one of those 4, so.
Avant-Garde, we have Avant-Garde working with us, and
Okay.
staff is working now on that application for Primrose, as a matter of fact.
Okay, so it seems like that's a strong possibility when they're
There-
saying
it's-
that we're entitled
There's
to
different components of that. The competitive one is going to be, staff has already been to some of the meetings we related. It's going to be competitive, but we check off on several of the boxes there.
Okay.
Should have a decent shot. That's why we recommended going forward.
Okay, perfect. And then the other was that April 24th is the legislative day up in Sacramento, and the legislature is asking businesses and municipalities in California to wear denim that day. And it is to show solidarity for Sexual Assault Awareness Month in California. So if you can even mention it to your place of work and see if they would be interested in partaking in that, it's April 24th. And I will send you a little blurb on that
It's next Wednesday.
next Wednesday. So,
I always enjoy wearing denim to work.
well, maybe you can pass that around in your
The
office.
judge may not appreciate that, but,
Well, tell them what it was set by the California State Legislature.
go.
Maybe they'll be okay
Yeah.
with it. And I just want to shout out again to Levi and his partner for coming out. It's a long day for them. They've worked all day at the Mosquito District, but they were very excited to come and have the Mosquito be present. So thank you for entertaining
And shout
them
out to you
with
for
that.
dressing up for
It was no problem. But
Yes, thank you.
anyway, it was fun. And thank you to Captain Flores, who graciously, you can't see where you're going, so you need someone to
you
hold
c-
on
no.
to. And you can't breathe very well in there either. But anyway, thanks, and pretty much that's it. So if, Brian, we could possibly have the staff wear denim on that day? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Yu?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Earlier today, or tonight actually, we approved one of the consent calendar item 7D. Actually, it's the formal appointment of Mr. Greg Murphy as a city attorney. I just want to take this opportunity to recognize him and welcome him on board as our official city attorney.
Yay.
and where did Kane go? He left. We could have represented him.
Thank him for coming out,
Great.
please.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Mann.
Thank you, Mayor Fish. I would want to give a shout out to our communications department. I know it's on the city's Facebook page, but I guess the, I was trying to figure out what CAPIO stand for, but I guess it stands for California Association of Public Information Officers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently our group won the, I guess it's called the EPIC Award, and Mr. Cook, that's the top that's the top prize for
That's great.
communications.
Exciting. Mhm.
Was that
Very
given at the actual Capio conference?
We did not attend the Campio conference. We had a couple staff members just go down because we didn't know if we were going to win or not.
Where
but
was it this year?
I think in Newport Beach somewhere.
Oh, because
okay.
we've attended that in the
Yeah.
past.
It's
I know,
been
we've
fun.
attended it.
Yeah, a couple
Council
years
members
ago.
have actually attended
There was one
that.
time it was in Long Beach, I think, right? At the aquarium.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember
Oh,
that
that's
one.
right. Okay,
That's when the
Jerry-
youth
Jerry,
committee,
with us.
youth
Yes.
Oh,
committee
right,
was
yeah,
up for
Jerry
an
was
award.
there.
For Capio?
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, I want to congratulate our staff for I guess we won for the Eat TC series, which is the video series where we featured some of our unique eateries. So I think we saw a couple during the State of the City with see, we had what, Summer Rolls, Green Zone, Pepe's, the Hat.
The hat.
Yeah, so yeah, I just want to commend our staff for really taking that idea of using social media to improve and enhance and promote our local businesses, and I think this award speaks for itself. I like the name of it, Epic Award. So yeah, I hope that we continue to try to think of creative ways to use whatever resources we have to think of creative ways to reach out. Social media could be a difficult wormhole to like fall down and navigate. It's messy, but when it's done correctly and we have these great promotional videos, I think it helps a lot. And also, I think it's worthwhile just to share, at least anecdotally. Ever since we had those videos, I've had a chance to just talk to both Tony from Summer Rose and Jill from Green Zone, and they both at least mentioned anecdotally that they had a lot of customers who
Oh, good.
went and tried their restaurant because they saw the video.
Oh, that's great.
And so both her and Tony were appreciative of us playing a role in supporting and helping them out. So let's see what we have in the future.
Great.
Yeah, and just one more thing is I think we have an Easter egg
Yes, we do.
hunt this Saturday, right?
Yes, we do.
Live Oak Park. So I'm bringing Adrian.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. I just want to spend a minute or so. This past week, I attended our JPIA Executive Committee Workshop. Once a year, the Executive Committee members, as well as staff, have a workshop to discuss policy decisions and things that are coming up in the JPIA and what we can do to benefit the authority for of course, the benefit of the members. And so it was very interesting. We had a guest speaker, and Ann Gergen, who is the president of the Association of Governmental Risk Pools, or it's called AGRIP. She was supposed to be there, but unfortunately she got snowed in Minnesota. So thanks to technology, we were able to see her on the TV screen from her basement. So that was interesting, but she was added a lot to the discussion. A couple of things that we talked about loss trends with the JPIA. The property losses are continuing to rise. That's something that we are going to try to get a hold on. Of course, the wildfires haven't helped too much in that regard. So that's something that we're going to be taking a look at as far as perhaps increasing the deductibles and trying to get a hold on things like that. We had a discussion on liability. One of the interesting areas that seems to be rising are cyber crimes. There are a lot of people out there that are asking for ransoms, ransoms that are being demanded over the internet. Particularly bothersome report. It doesn't happen in California, but there was a breach of school records. I forget the state it was in. That appeared relatively harmless. They were able to get class schedules and parent phone numbers. However, a few months later, parents were starting to receive phone calls and texts saying that I have a high-power rifle and it's trained on your daughter in science class with Mr. So-and-so.
God.
And I will shoot her unless you send money to this thing. It's just crazy. I mean, so those are the type of things that are out there. Of course, law enforcement, jail continue to have issues regarding liability issues there. Parks and recreation programs, Explorer programs, we've had some troubles with those. Knock on wood, we haven't had those locally, but there are some cities that are dealing with those issues. So those are all things that the authority is trying to work on, trying to bring more education to our members. We're up to 116 members now.
Wow.
I think I've mentioned before that Temple City was one of the founding members, which is a good thing. One of the things that we're looking at as far as what affects our city and other cities is our costs. And of course, one of the things we're looking at, it kind of analyze it to good driver discounts. Cities that are good about their risk management or have limited their claims, we're looking at discounts to those cities. So that'll help, I think, to drive people to be more conscientious about those types of things. People don't realize that the JPI actually provides, I think, 10 different programs that we can be, and I think we're pretty much a member of many of the programs, aren't we? Almost all of them. So, but there are many. We are also looking for prospective members. West Hollywood is on the list to come to the JPIA. Alhambra just recently rejoined the JPIA. We tend to be a little choosy, though. We don't want bad cities, those with a lot of claims. So, we are looking for new members, however. One of the things that I had mentioned earlier to them that I thought was a good idea, and I think they're going to start doing it, is to develop a quarterly update to provide to city councils. Even though, I'm on the executive committee, I can report out, but I think it would be helpful, I think, to many cities, including ours, to give a quarterly report on what the JPI is doing, what we have doing in the future, and things that can help make our city a better risk management type city. So that's to follow. That's going to be coming. What else? A couple other things. Of course, the employment issues are still high up there. We're trying to focus more on how we can avoid those and how we can bring them to the attention earlier than later to try to avoid, higher costs down the road. One of the big things that JPI is doing, and we've just started, is we created what is called a captive insurance company. Basically, it's an insurance company that's wholly owned and controlled by the insured. In this case, JPIA will own the insurance company and basically to insure itself. And its primary purpose, of course, is to ensure the risk of the JPIA. One goal, of course, is to lower the cost of coverage for members, which is always a good thing. Reduce our dependence on commercial industry, our commercial insurance, and also to have use our capital more efficiently. So it will sort of give us another so-called tool in the box to help us with future rates and handling those claims. So a lot of good things coming and more to follow. And as I said, I think that quarterly report hopefully will get out there. They're going to start it fairly soon, so we'll be able to have that in our hands and see what we're doing. Okay.
Tom, I just wanted to ask, with the quarterly reports, will it show us like the claims that are settled with other cities, or?
Probably not, because we usually do those in closed session, and it's not really a public matter. However, I believe I take that back. I think once the claim is settled or goes to litigation, certainly it becomes a public matter. So, and those are the type of things that we will see, I believe. So.
And then just one other question. Like you mentioned that the cities that are, doing respectively maybe better than other cities will get some discount. On the other end, like cities that they insure in the foothills, obviously their insurance, would go up?
Yes, just like any insurance, it's claim driven. The more claims you have, the more it's going to cost. And although we do share the risk, they do a pretty good job of making sure that those who are making the most claims end up paying more money usually. So.
Okay. You know, I got a phone call today just talking about, risk management and scams. And whenever I get a phone call from either one of my kids or Greg, it shows Sternquist on my caller ID. Well, it said Sternquist. And all day long I've been getting, telemarketers. So I picked it up. And I could tell it was a robocall, but it was regarding my IPO address had been compromised, and call this number and then you'll be connected. The reason I knew it was a scam was one of our commissioners had told me that a good friend of hers was scammed out of like $6,000 recently because he was so protective of like his IPO address and what was on his computer, and your information on your drive has been compromised. And I mean, they're pretty detailed, but it was interesting that my name showed up. It showed up as Sternquist. So they definitely have a way of using caller ID so that you think it's a family member, and then you pick up the phone and then they start their scam.
The cyber liability, cyber crime is certainly a growing problem. I believe, Lucy, didn't we have that as an issue at our Neighborhood Watch? I believe we addressed that specifically last year, I think, or the year before, with some specific
IRS, I think.
Well, IRS, yeah.
We addressed specifically, one was the IRS one where they said we'll call the sheriffs to come knock down on the, not convert down. The other one was pertaining to the people faking to be grandkids, calling up elderly people, senior citizens, and scamming them out of money for old grandma in trouble, send money.
Of course, I think what JPI is concerned about, of course, are those who will go into and attack the records of cities and things like that, and get the information that they have and use it, not necessarily against the city, but for their own benefit. So we obviously as a city have a lot of personal information, a lot of personnel information, a lot of things that could be helpful to criminals. And so
So does JPEIA has recommendations for cities such as
yeah,
ours?
we do work with them, and yes, and we have workshops, and they're, as you know, and we've all attended the conferences every year, and they're working on developing more and more of those type of seminars as well. So okay, that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a couple of things. One thing, of course, is our annual Easter egg hunt, which is this Saturday at Live Oak Park. Always a good time. Also, Mayor Pro Tem Chavez and I, we attended Temple City's Got Talent. It's the second time I've attended it. It is always amazing as to how talented these children and adults are. We do have the video and pictures on templecitysPhotos.com, so check it out. And I think it's a great idea to tell the Moon Festival to look at it. Like I said, these children, and I didn't realize it was adults also. Now they have a category where you can actually go for adults. So, and also, our very own Tony Ramirez, coordinator, sang. Who knew he sang? I don't know what that was about. It was pretty amazing. So anyway, that's again on the video.
It was very well attended also.
It was packed, yes it was.
A lot of people there.
It was packed.
Good job.
Okay, moving on to item 15, additional public comments on items not listed on the agenda. Mr. Jambazian. Okay.
Good evening again. When Mayor Fish pulled item 7C on the consent agenda, I thought it was kind of for the same reason that I thought you were going to be going, but you didn't. So I'm wondering, normally I like to know what the council appointments are. I'm not asking for a whole list, but if there were any major changes, kind of like to know. Like for Chamber of Commerce or any of those other appointments?
The only one I can think of right off the top of my head is school district, and is it an ad hoc? I can't remember.
Standing committee.
It will be Councilmember Mann and I instead of Mayor Pro Tem Chavez and I. I think everything else stayed the same.
For school district?
School district. I think everything else stayed the same, correct? Was there any other
very good.
changes? No.
No.
Okay, thank
That
you.
was the only thing that changed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay, any other additional, Lucy, Steve? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.